Hello and welcome back to this session 2 of layers in Creo. If you check my previous video or if you check the description, you can see a link on where I discussed what is Creo layers, how to use them, and it's a quite long video. Please watch that for you to understand the basic use case scenarios of layers in Creo. And today, as I had mentioned in that video, is we're going to go to advanced discussion using layers. I have this simple model that has the data planes right top and front. Then I have four holes. I have used hole wizard. Then I patterned. Then there's a hole patterned. You can see. Then I pattern the hole. Let me just delete this hole for now and delete some points here. We don't need them for now, as well as this. We're going to use layers, and I said in my previous video, any part in Creo always have a datum default layers. If you select here layer 3, these are always the default layers, but assume you want to create your own layers to control your geometry. Remember we said layers control the visibility of certain geometry features. It enables you to have a collective operation. The task I have is I want all these points, these are the data points, to be in a layer. Right now, these points by default they go to a PRT or data points. But for me, I want to create mine, assuming you didn't have this. Okay, let me first delete it. Yes, just assume you don't have that one. How can you create yours? And such that whenever you create a point in your model, the point automatically goes to the layer. If you click layers and select new layer, you get the layer properties, you give a name and layer ID. Layer ID is this ID. If you want to give an ID helps you in case you want to use a parameter, you can always reference a certain ID. Let me call this one data points. Let me just change language. Data points. You can give an ID if you want. Here is where you select manually all the items that you want to be controlled by a layer. But for me, I want to use a rule. Instead of using contents here, whereby you select a rule. Once you select a rule, we can see we have two buttons here: edit, rules, and options. When you select options, you're going to see three check boxes. First is rules enabled. This one ensures that the rule is active. When you select independent, it means now these rules, let me just repeat again. Rules enabled means from now, when whatever you are going to create, all the points that you are going to create for the data points, they will always go to this layer. It is active. Independent means that you want to disable driving this layer by the default layer model. Remember, we have a default layer, the one I have deleted. We want to disconnect these two to be independent, such that your layer is independent to the default layers of the model. Then associative means all the previous items and next items that are present in the model will be controlled by the layer. Assuming we have previous points, if you don't select associative, those points will not be discovered. Therefore, just enable these three, then you go to edit rule. Here is where you define what do you want. In this instant, I want point. Look for what? You can look for the 3D curve. You can look for various different geometry parameters. There are many. You can look for a surface. Today I will just illustrate two. One is, let's look for a point. Remember, these are points. You select a point. Once you select a point, the point, you have to look this point by how. You specify how you're going to look for a point. A feature. Sometimes you can create a feature point using BMX, behavioral modeling extension, a group intent type point, but for now let's use point. Let's just use point such that the layer will be looking for the point. When you say preview, the points that are present in a model are highlighted here. You can see we have 4 points. If you count, they are just 4. These are the 4 points. And lastly, you must go to the options, ensure that build query is checked, then select add new, then OK, then select OK. As you can see, we have data points here, a layer called data points, and automatically all the points that are present in our model, they are stored under the layer data points. Therefore, if I hide this one here, points get hidden. If I show, points are active. Okay, let's see what happens when I create a new point. Go to a point, select maybe this edge, say okay. You can see this point here, at this point, at this location, and say okay. The new point gets added to the data points. I don't need to select manually. We are using a rule. The rule says look for the point in the model, then add all those points to the layer. You can see now we have 5. Again, select maybe this and control this where they intersect and control that where these 3 planes intersect. Another point. You can see now you have 5, 6 points. When you say hide, all points are hidden because you're saying it is a collective operation. Let's now try something else. Let me create a surface. Control copy, control paste, like that. Control copy, control paste, like that. As well, I can always collect these surfaces, holes. Let's click again, new layer, and say holes, like that. Go to rule, as you said, dependent, rows enabled, associative, edit rule. I want to look for what? Hole is, what is a hole? It is a feature, which is a hole. Let's look for a hole. Okay. It is a, or look for, let's see. We have a hole. Let's see whether what we have. It is a feature. Look by. Let's see if we have a hole. We don't have a hole. Let's try something else. Let's try a surface quilt and look for the quilt preview results. We have 2 quilts here, the ones I have done copy paste, add new, okay, then say okay. You can see now my, let me just edit this one to be surfaces, like that. Now my layer has 2 quilt. If you hide them, you can see they get hidden. Therefore, if you create a surface, this surface or a quilt will automatically go to the layers surfaces. Let's try to do something like maybe control copy paste like that. You can see get added there. In case you want to extrude a surface, still like that, the surface, you can see it will, these are three, they'll become four. You can see down there four. For some reason I don't know why it doesn't hide automatically. Maybe there's a config somewhere. Yeah, Creo has a very big config, very big list for the config. You have to understand it. Yeah, I want to try a layer for another one called geometry. Let's go to edit rules. Look for what? Let's look for the solid geometry like this one here. Then preview result. Then say okay. When you say okay, nothing happens here because you have to say add new. Preview results. You must say add new. Say okay. Then okay. Now another layer that has solid geometry, and we know that one, this one is our solid geometry. Let me just show this. If I say this one hide, it will hide our solid geometry. Therefore, whenever you have a solid geometry, you can have a layer that hides all your solid geometry. Yeah, that's how you use advanced layers and rules in Creo. Thank you.